doing should alarm America, because what Russia is doing is no. When we say alarm, or when me and Wick say alarm, we mean more than just, hey, that's not cool. I wish you wouldn't do that, Russia.
You want action, and I think what I'm trying to at least say is that the actions that are necessary in order to accomplish what you guys want is actually
not worth it. Correct?
Yes, it's not worth it.
Okay, so I
get the worry. I get the worry. I don't like what Russia is doing, and I ideally would want them to stop. But like in the world that we do live in, our actions have consequences.
Okay.
What we want may not be ideal.
You can't put it away.
I absolutely agree with you that actions have consequences, and I think we disagree on what those consequences is and what they're actually worth. And whether it's worth it or not, we can discuss, which is why I said, if America wants to say, hey, the world is free, Russia, conquer and annex whoever you fucking want, China, do that too, I don't care, that's fine. But I don't think that's what America is saying, and that would be very inconvenient for them to do, since
they're not saying that because of what you're mentioning. So I'm not advocating for the American stance to be as overt as what I'm saying. Obviously, they're not doing... That's not the case, but if you wanted to take a look at its actions, that's what its actions are saying.
Okay, well, I can only say this. In the panel that I was on, like earlier, I said that the more America is going to pull back from the world stage, Russia and China will stomp in there. Mm-hmm. They already are.
Hasn't pulled back.
It is pulling back because America was willing to take actions before, and it's no longer willing to do that, or not.
Against what?
Against Russian aggression.
We've never put soldiers like
where? Like which Russian aggression?
There have been conflicts in.
I'm actually confused about Russian aggression.
So what? Do you think Russia's not being aggressive here?
So no. It's not saying. I'm saying when did they take action against Russian aggression? That's what I'm asking. I'm asking in the past. She said that they've taken action before. I'm asking when did that happen?
No. You know what? I'll take that back. Maybe it seemed like they were willing to. I know that in World War II they have. Then there was the Cold War. You know, there was a lot of actions, but they weren't obviously.
Well, in World War II, we weren't against Russia. We were allies.
No, you weren't. But it's for me, it's equivalent. Okay.
Like the Soviet Union and Russia are two different states, like geopolitically speaking.
I understand. Just let me very quickly.
They behave differently.
So finish up, and I also want to hear from Rabbit Wombat afterwards. He's been waiting patiently.
May I?
Go ahead.
I think that if the United States want to basically admit to themselves that they're not actually up for playing world police anymore, that's fine. I don't like America, and again, I don't make this argument for any other conflict that isn't with Russia or China. I don't like American foreign policy, generally speaking, because Americans are very selfish. And I think in this case, they're being extremely selfish as well, in a way, right? Because they're like, Ukraine isn't worth it, right? Georgia wasn't worth it. Crimea wasn't worth it. Eventually, no one's going to be worth it. That's why I don't think America will intervene in Taiwan.
Okay,
which is fine, self-preservation.
Rabbit Wombat has been waiting, and then Dr. K and Chamzilla.
Thanks. I'll be leaving after this, so I just want to start out by saying thank you, everyone, for the dialogue. The sword is out. It's out. I agree with Katie and Jay Chow on two sides of one point. The Americans and the world have not done enough, but I think to Jay Chow's point, this is all they're going to do when it comes to the diplomacy side of things, and it's not going to work. We talk about the cost of this in lives and of war, and lives are being lost. They're being lost in camps, they're being lost in outright conflict all over the world. And when we don't intervene, it's just going to continue on and on. And so my position is that this is the line. This is where we have to go into this conflict. We have to either empower the Ukrainians themselves to be able to resist physically, or if they are incapable of doing that, if they request our aid to go in, to Katie's point about just going in without their permission would be problematic as well too, then we should be ready to answer that call, because we do need to look at the long game here, like Dr. K and Jay Chow is saying, and that the cost in lives will be less if we start now than if we let areas of this country be incrementally sheared away from it, have groups systematically exterminated inside of it for opposing.
That they aren't going to go further.
What
so
historical
maybe,
context?
So we have to make sure, and I'm just glad you haven't tried to check my doshas, but you're annoying me in other ways, Dr. K. We gotta make sure. We gotta make sure that this physical aggression that Russia has been able to get away with for 10, 20 years finally gets checked. And there is no more black and white, obvious, moral high ground that we have than right now in the Ukraine, where Russia has signed multiple treaties to recognize the sovereignty of this country. It's not peacekeeping when they go in and unilaterally move in and do this. There will be no better clear-cut time that will be judged in history than right now to go in and stop this aggression. Thank you for your time.
That's fair too.
Okay, Dr. K, thank you so much for being here. Rabid Wombat, yeah, thank you so much. And Dr. K was next, and I think, yep.
Yeah, so the historical context is that there have been, like, these separatist movements, these protests, things like this, they aren't, like, new. They didn't start yesterday, right? And they've occurred in many other states throughout Ukraine, right? And they are usually backed by people who are ethnically Russian, right? They're the major contributors, anyways, of these movements. And the thing is the places where they've occurred in otherwise, places like Kharkiv and Poltava, they were not successful there, right? Because they were a hyper minority of the population, and they had no domestic support, right? None at all. Or at least not enough to do anything more than, I think it was, secure a police station for a couple hours. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? But on the contrary, right, when during the counter protest to Euromaidan, right, the Donetsk and Luhansk regions successfully repelled the Ukrainian army, right? You don't do that if you have no domestic support. And, like, the Ukrainian army was literally, like, actively shooed away by the people who were living in the region. To this extent, right, this is why these two regions, like, along with the fact that they have a much stronger connection to the to the Russian country, to the Russian tongue, right? And essentially a larger industrial base that's essentially been sanctioned away over time. Due to these reasons, there is a much stronger separatist sentiment in these places. If Russia tried to formulate any sort of false flag in almost any other part of Ukraine, there would not be the domestic support there necessary to even attempt a false flag operation. And thus, like, you couldn't do something like this in any other region. So, like, Donetsk and Luhansk are special cases. And if Russia moves past them into further territories of Ukraine, I will say yeah.
Let's go to Chamzilla and then Wick.
I was just Crimea exists, so, like, I don't know what you're talking about. All I want to say is, like,
look, even more Russian than Luhansk and Luhansk.
Wait. No. I don't care. Sovereign nations are sovereign nations. We don't live before the look. As soon as World War II happened, we kind of all moved into a modern age of the world where we don't do that shit anymore. Basically, that's why everyone's mindset is like this, because in the past, our mindset. I'm not saying we actually do it. I'm saying our mindset moved from that place, which is why we have such reprehension about this shit happening. And the main thing that, like, I agree with you that Russian separatist forces exist, but I don't agree that they're like purely just backed on their own, because Russia's obviously inserting money into it. Just like when there was just like when Russia was trying to let me finish. Just like when Russia was trying to make deals with Ukraine to make it economically dependent on it, NATO was obviously pushing a separate agenda with the protesters. It happens all the time. Anytime there's an opposition force in a country, outside forces are going to try to motivate that force in order to get what they want. It's not an abnormal, crazy thing to think about. Now you can decide who's right in that. Obviously, being under Russian rule isn't the best idea, but also you could argue, hey, them being friends with Russia could help them in terms of feeling a bit safer. But you can't just be like, oh, because there's a convenient excuse here, it means that they couldn't have done it anywhere else. Because if there was a convenient excuse on the other side of the country, they could have done another false flag operation. That's not a really good argument. That's actually a terrible argument.
It's not an argument. It's a rationale. It's a rationale to its actions of what it's taking.
But it's not a good one.
Okay, are we?
No,
I want to talk
it's a good. I would say it's a good explanation of what's going on.
Explanation, but it's not a good rationale. It's this won't happen anywhere else because it happened here for this reason.
It doesn't justify anything either.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's weird. It's like this ethno-nationalist argument here. It's a very ethno-nationalist argument to make.
That's actually important to some people, outside of the United States.
But that's not okay.
Argument holds weight.
That's not okay because it doesn't hold any weight for me. This whole ethno-nationalist idea that Russia for Russia,
morality
China for China,
is not going to help you.
For America.
Virtue signaling this is not going to help you.
This isn't about morality. This isn't about morality. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying saying this rationale is real and then being this wouldn't have happened anywhere else is just like saying Russia found a good rationale to do this, but they just didn't find a convenient rationale.
Russia found good conditions. Russia found good conditions.
Sorry, what did you say?
Russian separatists and
they kept trying to do this because they want to.
But there was not the domestic support necessary to have those movements
in
any other oblast of Ukraine except these two.
Except the area where they directly control because it's on their border.
Wait, what's your point?
Well, there's other oblasts of Ukraine that border Russia.
She's saying that it's not a slippery slope thing. If we just let Russia have it, it will stop. They'll never do that again.
And I'm not even saying I'm not saying
is
give
that
them
your
Russia.
actual
I'm
statement?
simply delegate higher autonomy to these regions, and you will have a chilling effect on the separatist movements there. But
you can't let Russia get away with that. You can't let Russia just do whatever it wants.
This is American imperialism at its finest, and you guys are echoing that sentiment.
American imperialism?
Oh my god!
Yes, it is.
What is this nonsense?
Yes, it is. How is that nonsense?
Okay,
Russian propaganda. Shut up! Shut up! I want to hear from this guy. So go ahead, Danny.
Oh god.
Is it Danny? Is that your name? I forget. The new guy.
Is it Dre? Are you talking about Dre?
Yeah, Dre. I apologize. That's my fault. Go ahead.
Okay. I have three points of contention for this argument. Okay, so this happens all the time. They always have military practices on these borders all the time. This isn't anything new. Only thing that's happening right now that you're seeing on the news that is perpetrating this and making it a bigger deal is the simple fact that we are selling arms to Ukraine. That is what's happening. We are providing aid to Ukraine, which is in return a relationship with us. They have always practiced their military practices on the border. This show of force that he is posturing up with right now is a deterrence from NATO in inclusion for Ukraine.
I don't understand is how that I would agree with you.
You know they're not on the border anymore.
Wait. Can I finish my points? I told you I have 3 points on this.
But do you know what happened this morning?
Oh, my bad. Shut up. Dre, please.
Okay. Thank you. So we know that NATO is an expansionist force, correct? And the main contributor to NATO and the main driving force. No, wait a second.
Defensive pact.
Shut up.
We are not going to talk. We're not going to take the moral high ground with NATO. We are not going to take the moral high ground with NATO. Okay. We're not going to do that here. We're not going to do that here. Okay. We're gonna look at things.
Oh my god! If I get to mute you,
that's because you're a Russian fucking propagandist.
I'm gonna mute because I need you to shut the fuck up.
Please. Can I get it all across without sounding like a fascist, please? Because if you interrupt me at any point, you can automatically clip it and make me sound like a fascist. You know what I mean?
True enough.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm not saying that this isn't Russian imperialism as well. I'm not defending the fact that Putin has imperialist, Russian has imperialist motivations and ambitions. I'm not arguing that fact here. What I'm saying is this is a tactical move for any type of sovereign nation to deter NATO expansion into their fucking, like, would you want your enemies to be, would you want your enemies in Mexico? Would you want your enemies in Canada? I'm not defending his behalf, but let's draw both lines on the circle here and not act like we just have this moral high ground and that Russia's evil. Because I'm not saying that they're good or anything, but I'm just saying at least look at things from a non-biased point of view and get off of this fucking American imperialist fucking like flag that you have over your face and actually look at things as a human fucking being, okay? Like,
do you know that Russia entered Ukraine?
Have you put your final point? You said you had 3.
Yeah, that's
okay.
I'm willing to hear.
Did you hear what happened to that?
I have a semi-response.
I got minor glimpse. I got a minor like taste of it. Is like they actually pushed in.
So you were right about everything you said in terms of like the whole like this has been happening for a long time. But what happened this morning was like the big change. No, wait. Where they recognized them as sovereign area, like he wants to recognize them as sovereign independent areas, which is what makes this much different than the past 8 years or whatever since. And 2014.
I saw that this morning that there was actually steps to make this. I saw this morning that there was actual steps for an actual potential invasion. But we have to look at the like. This is not a possibility of a full scale that they're gonna push all the way to the capital of Ukraine. I'm sorry. They don't have the funding to be able to do that. They would starve themselves of that. Like that's just, this isn't something that's a rational point of belief that we're gonna be able to think that they're gonna be able to push all the way in or even anything like that. So that was my final point, is that like this is almost a mute topic and the US should keep their fucking noses out of this one, in my opinion.
Okay, Dave, and then Katie, and then Wick.
Fair enough, your opinion.
I want to hear Wick. I want to hear Wick. I want to hear this shit that he's saying. Real talk. I want to hear Wick.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm not a Putin fucking supporter. Don't ever try to like make me seem like I'm a sympathizer with some.
But you are.
Okay, because you take the fucking moral high ground and act like America's the world fucking police. That's not how it works. But let's continue.
Unfortunately, it is.
Okay, let's go.
It's not how it is.
Dave, Katie, Wick, please.
This is all capitalism, but we're fine. You guys are leftists, right?
All right. No, I'm not a leftist.
Okay, that's good. At least you own it.
Like it or not, the world order, the hegemon of the world order is the United States of America. Right? They're the linchpin of the current world order. So that's the way it is. Anyways, that aside.
Wait,
no. Hey, Dre, you got your point out. Got to get Dave his chance, please.
I'm just asking for him to clarify it. So
that
there's
aside,
more
I don't know how much more clarification I need there. But anyways,
no.
That aside, first off, Russia has officially invaded the Ukraine. So that has happened. It's not just talking about maybe it might happen. The whole they're Putin saying that these areas are recognizing their independence is complete hogwash, right? There's no he just did that unilaterally, and he's the only person on the planet that thinks that. So apart from his underlings. So him and his underlings think that is not in any way, shape, or form.
Hey, I don't mean to interrupt.
That's not in any way, shape, or form justification for invading
Dave,
Ukraine.
Can you clarify what they think? I'm just
please, elaborate on what you're saying.
I genuinely got confused. What do Putin and only his lackeys think?
That what are the two areas called again? Donetsk and the Donbass.
Donetsk and Luhansk.
Donetsk and Luhansk are independent.
Okay.
Can I ask the whole chat a question?
Oh no! We got it.
Don't talk to chat. That's cringe.
We gotta keep it moving. All right, so let's go to Katie, Wick, and then we'll figure out who's next after that.
You can skip me. I want to let Wick do this.
Okay, Wick, please.
Okay, so let's be very
before you do that, sorry, Twisted Aviator, thank you for the $10 donation. He wants and there's a sword of Damocles hanging over one of you guys because he's gonna meet you at some point. So okay. Go ahead, Wick, please.
Okay, so again, let's be clear. NATO is a defensive pact. It is not an aggressive movement. And this is a very, very kind of Russian propaganda framing. So while you may not mean or intend to be supporting Russian propaganda right now, you de facto are.
Okay.
Russia,
Okay.
let me finish. Russia unilaterally and illegally declared that these two contested regions are sovereign nations. And then they moved in with tanks and troops and material to occupy these places.
Don't accuse me of propaganda pushing if you're not going to debunk it. Don't accuse me.
Debunk it. I'm telling you what is happening now on the ground.
Asking why is it
on the ground? This is exactly happening.
How is it not an expansive pact?
Let me finish
your point.
Okay, all right. So
Demoni, you need to turn the camera sideways. Demoni, turn your camera sideways.
My bad. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I mean that's not.
You might have to like
in portrait. Anyway, which way? Look,
you might have to set your camera to like landscape.
Yeah,
your camera.
Yeah. So anyway,
what's wrong with it?
It's fine.
Set your camera to landscape, and then.
Oh my god.
It's in the options.
Stop it! I don't care. Anyway, look. The it's been decided.
You can do it.
The person.
You can do it, brother.
Oh my god! Everyone, please shut up. The person who's gonna get muted would be Dre. This is from the audience member. They picked you. All right. So 10 minutes, and you'll be back up and running. Wick, go ahead.
Okay. So we know, because it's happening as we speak, that Russia is moving tanks, troops, and material into parts of Ukraine that are still parts of Ukraine. Ukraine recognizes them, at least to the best of my knowledge as of right now. Ukraine still claims these places. Russia says, no, you don't. We're taking them. That is an invasion. That is an annexation. That is happening. And regardless of the reasons why, it is an affront to the sovereignty of Ukraine. It is going against the will of the people there. It is anti-democratic. It is forceful. It is warmongering. It is imperialism. It is wrong and should be opposed. And the fact that America wants to oppose it is not imperialism. This isn't a both sidesism thing. This isn't both sides are wrong. America, as Rabid Wombat so widely pointed out,
But what about the people of Ukraine? What about
moral high ground?
What about the number of Ukrainian people who are like, yeah, I love this?
It's a minority.
Yeah.
It's a minority.
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure.
In the regions.
Where's your study? Where's the study?
Minority.
You have a study on that?
I can link it to you. Hold on, give me a second.
The regions affected, it's highly contested. Like there have been various different polls.
It doesn't really count.
I mean, if people took over Canada and they're like Canada like enjoys this thing
with countries going into other countries because they're liberating the people. Like we've shit on America for doing this for a very long time. It's not a great look.
What if Russia moved into Canada and they're like, Canada loves this shit? And so a certain number of Canadians are like, oh yeah, we love this shit. We love everything that's happening to Canada right now. And yet the majority is like, fuck this shit. Stop. I'm just saying. Are the studies representative of all the people or just what you're saying?
I'm trying to get you the exact studies here.
Look, the grander point is that doesn't even matter because they should be able to hold a referendum without troops on the ground in their region. So even if you're right, like even if you're 100% right, it's fucked up to have an external power come into a country and then hold a referendum for whether they want to leave afterwards. That's fucked up. That's not really a rational way to do things if you're going to talk about like the present day like way that we want to do things as opposed to historical.
If military presence is they're going to like fuck you. With that knife, yeah, sure, I get it.
I forget who said this before, but like when it comes to Russia's movements into Ukraine, like a little of it actually has to do with integrating it into its territory, or like uniting people. Like I think like this is getting over like so many people's heads is that like this is a front. It's an excuse to what is really its objective, which is preventing Ukraine from joining NATO. as well as
or even just
signaling
creating
to the
buffer
West.
states.
But what we're saying is that we don't care what excuse you use. We are not okay with you doing it. It's really not that complicated. Like,
But I
you
also
can give
think,
whatever
but I also think,
rationalization.
but I
No,
think,
no. Sorry,
but I
no,
think
I have
it
to-
is
sorry.
also not. I think it is also not that complicated to realize that if we were put in a similar situation, we would also be behaving the same way.
And I would criticize the shit out of you too.
And
It's
you
like,
know what?
don't
I
think
think,
that's
and I
but
think,
it's
no,
not
but
mature to be
I
like,
think
you
that's
shouldn't
very,
talk about nuance.
it's very admirable. Okay, I admire you for doing that, and I would do the same on moral grounds. But when it comes to the actions of states and countries and whatnot, this is the reality. And like, how can we change that? I guess
Okay,
like
but
is
Chow,
now
you
we're
and I are
looping
going
back.
to keep looking back into. You don't want to. It's not worth it for you, and for me it is. And I said like 5 times. Let's have the discussion of if it's actually worth it or not. That's not really what the panel is doing. It's fine. And
I don't want to be
Champ,
offensive to you, but if you think it's worth it to go to war over Ukraine, I think that's you're saying that in a very privileged position.
Not
Oh my
even
God.
Ukraine, just Donetsk and Luhansk.
Oh my God.
Just
I would argue
Yeah.
that it's not about going to war over Ukraine. This isn't about Ukraine for me at all. I don't give a fuck about Ukraine. Like this is
That's your first
there's a
That's
much
literally your first problem.
bigger there's a
Wow.
much bigger problem
Mask
here than
off.
just Ukraine, okay? Like
No,
yeah,
that's no, wait, you
um,
can't shit on American imperialism all day and then just say what you said, because you're basically doing what's wrong with American imperialism, which is not considering the consequences of what their actions are.
wait. When
What?
I've been shitting on Russian imperialism. What
No, but
are
you've
we
also been shitting on him. But you've been inserting jabs. You've been inserting you've been inserting jabs in American imperialism here and there.
do you want me to only be mad at Russians? I don't think
No, that's
Americans
not what I'm
are great
saying.
either.
No. I completely agree in the nuance, but what I'm saying is you can't say you don't care about Ukraine and then complain about all these other imperialistic powers when the conversation right now is about Ukraine. That's what the conversation is.
So maybe I'll clarify, because maybe I was being a bit too inflammatory. What I mean by this is that what happens in Ukraine and what happened in Crimea and what happened in Georgia were all opportunities for America to step up. And now, and I don't agree with Dr. K that this would be the last time that Russia would do something like this. And as long as America are not willing to eventually seize one of these opportunities and actually do something about it, then that's going to keep happening as far as I can tell, right? So when I say I don't give a fuck about Ukraine, I do. I'm very upset that, like, when I agreed to join the panel, I thought they were still on the border. I was very upset hearing they actually went in, because that's a huge failure of NATO, of Germany, of the United States. That should have not happened, and I feel like people should have done better. Countries should have done better. So I do care about Ukraine. What I'm trying to say is it's not just about Ukraine. It's about international politics. The reason why I'm asking America to intervene is not because I'm like, I don't want to utilize the Israeli Defense Force to do this. There is no other country except for China who's like willing to, that can really step up to this. If America won't step up to like telling Russia that maybe colonize and like maybe doing imperialism around them is like shitty, and the world is not okay with it, the world being America in this situation, then they're going to keep doing it. If America doesn't want to do that, fine. But I think America likes to say that it doesn't want it to happen, but they're not actually willing to pay up for it.
Wait, that's what
I
I've
mean,
been
it's
saying.
okay, so my
Whoa,
main issue
crazy.
with that context is treating America like it's some moral world police, but America's also backing Saudi Arabia and it's also backing Israel and what it's doing right now. So it's weird to look at them as if like there's some like moral shit behind that. It doesn't.
I don't think they are,
moral,
right?
No, wait. It's not. There's no moral behind this. Is strategically and transactionally, is this important enough to get involved in? It's just like every other war.
Yes,
no one
it's
goes in because
self-interest.
they see a genocide and they're like, oh, let's stop it. That's not usually what happens. Usually there's a transactional reason. It's, am I going to be incurred? Like, am I going to face the consequences of this? Now, you're right. They could face a consequence of this. And I don't disagree that there is an action they should take. But I don't like this whole thing of, troops on the ground is a good response, because even if you think it's the right response, it's never a good response.
I never said that, right?
No one ever
No,
said that.
it seems like war is a very much a fast approaching, like I guess, like when I say like war, I mean like on the ground troops fighting guns on the ground in Ukraine is very much a like this is it feels like everyone's playing a game of Risk, and they're not really playing a game of like lives exist. And
I understand.
Maybe we should try
and
to see how we can crank down.
Thank
people
fucking
dying
God.
as opposed to-
Yeah, so many people on this panel have been saying America and the West, we should do more, and we should definitely respond and stop Russia. But then when we mention war, but not war, not boots on the ground, no, but that's literally what it's going to take. So it just feels it's so weird. It's so weird how like there are people who like want to protect and talk about this value, but then aren't willing to go to the extent that would actually uphold that value. To me, it just feels like a lot of people for this issue are virtue signaling, and I don't appreciate that.
Let's go to
You guys
Dre.
hear me?
So I just want to say that
Hold
Dre is
on.
unmuted. So then
Guys,
Dre's unmuted. So then
guys,
Katie.
hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Hey, he's the moderator.
I'll
Don't
decide
tell
who
him to
holds
hold on.
on.
You listen to
Hold
him.
on. Hold on a second.
Oh my God! Shut up. I will
Brian.
decide who holds on. Okay, great.
This is so
Anyway,
funny.
Katie, you can jump in. Then Wick, and then this Ham person, you can go next, and then Dre. All right. So Katie, Wick, Ham, Dre.
Okay, Cham. I'm not saying America, not good world
Oh, okay.
police. Okay, they have very bad morals. They have not gone into a single war where like the lives of the
Right.
people on the ground actually mattered. Okay,
All
I
right.
don't think America are a virtuous country trying to make the world a better place.
Thank you.
They came into every single. I wish I could trust America to do what's moral. They're actually pretty fucking awful at it, and they are excellent at doing whatever they need for their
We
own
have
personal
potential, though.
interest, while pretending they're doing it for moral reasons. Right? I'm not making the argument that this is a moral thing. Wick is making that argument. I think that's weak. I think it's in America's interest to set the boundaries. They should have done that earlier. But I don't think letting Russia push
Right.
is actually what American want.
KG,
And
KG,
second point,
right?
very quickly.
KG, I'm gonna cut you off there. KG, so
No,
Cam,
you're
No.
not, dude. Shut up.
So,
no, we're gonna go in order here. Cam, do you have something to say, Camzilla?
I set the order. I said
Just
Katie.
set the order.
I said Katie. I said Wick, and then I said
Somebody
Ham, and
wanted
then
to
Dre.
set the order above me. I'm the first in line here. So
What? No, you're not.
I can.
No, you're not. That's not. This is
No,
not
no,
lying.
no.
Oh my God.
Everybody
God,
will
can we
get a
get a
chance to
boot?
speak. Everybody will get a
Okay,
chance.
don't worry. All right,
I'm
keep
sorry.
going, Wick.
Well, is Katie done? First of all, are you done, Katie?
I don't remember what I want to say anymore. It's fine.
You guys are assholes, man. Why are you
So-
cutting her off? Sorry for disrespecting. Sorry.
It's good.
So when we talk about like it's a moral thing, and do I think America's always been the moral thing? No, of course, America has been the wrong side too many times. But in this case, in this instance, we are absolutely 100% in the right here. That to defend
this
a
one's
sovereign
different, I
nation,
swear.
to defend a sovereign, we talk about nuance earlier. This
Only
is what that
once?
means. This is what that means, is to look at situations in a nuanced way and not just assume because, oh, this one time back in the day, or these several
What?
times in America's case
Right
back in
now!
the day, it's done back. My God, can I finish my statement?
Sorry.
Okay,
I mean,
so a few times back in the day, and I will agree with you, America's done some really shitty things, but it's
Doing.
a faulty reasoning. It's faulty reasoning to assume because it's been done in the past and it has to always been done that America can never be in the.
That's not what I
This
said.
is what you're claiming. This is
That's not
what
my-
you were
that's not
de
my
facto claiming.
That's not my
You
claim.
may not be saying those exact words.
It
Maybe
didn't matter
not
what
you.
words I'm saying, though.
Maybe
You
not
wanna
you.
know?
Yo, you
This is
forget
so
there's like
this
10
is so
people in
funny.
this conversation,
Couldn't this
right?
also apply to Russia
Okay.
and not going further?
Okay, well, Russia isn't always in the wrong.
Thank you.
But Russia is in the wrong right here. Russia is fundamentally
No,
wrong
you-
in what they're
okay,
doing. It is
okay.
a moral.
I am simply
affront.
taking your
They are
argument that just
invading a sovereign country.
I am
right
simply
now.
taking your argument that just because something has happened in the past doesn't mean that it will happen in the future.
But we're talking about what's happening right now.
And so
right now,
and
today,
so
this
and
instant,
relax,
this very hour,
and relax,
is Russia
relax.
is invading a
Chill,
sovereign
dude.
country.
Hold on, you're responding to something that I
Yes
haven't
or
even
no?
said. Okay.
Yes or no?
I don't even know what you're saying. I'm just going to
Is Russia
keep on
invading a sovereign country?
I'm just going to keep
You
on
can't
repeating
fucking
myself.
answer the
Oh my
question.
God.
I'm going to
You
keep on
gotta
repeating
let him
myself.
One at a
answer,
time.
Wick.
I'm going to keep on repeating myself, okay? The same thing
I know you are because you have
also
nothing new to
applies.
offer.
Relax, okay? The
Wick.
same thing
Nothing
also
fucking new.
applies. Your logic, your argument would also, I would say, apply to Russia, in that it just because has done something in the past, and just because it has done something in the present, doesn't mean that it is bound that it will do the same thing in the future. Now, I will agree that there is, okay? I will agree that
Fool
there
me
is
once.
a pattern. There is a pattern of behavior that we have to worry about and that we have to strategize against. However, I think to Dr. K's credit before is that if you were to look at the specific factors that allowed Russia to be successful in its annexation of Crimea, as well as granting independence to two specific regions, then we would know
Invading
that
Ukraine. Let's be clear.
we would know
Invading
that it would be almost
Fucking
impossible
propaganda.
for you guys you could talk, you could tell you this is propaganda all you want, okay? I'm just gonna keep
Not
on
you.
talking.
No, don't need to interrupt him.
Okay,
So let
Russia.
let Chow finish his point, and then I want to hear from Ham and then Dre. Okay.
It seems like it is impossible for Russia to actually fully invade Ukraine and maintain it, considering the consequences that it'll have to face, the costs that it'll have to face, the amount of insurgents that it will have have face.
Just a little invasion.
This
okay.
this
just
idea,
a just a tip.
this
Just a tip of the
idea,
invasion.
this idea, I have made no moral arguments. All I've been trying to do on this panel is to give an explanation as to why things are occurring the way that they are, so that we, as moral agents, could make decisions on what to actually do. Now, whether or not something is morally good or bad has very little to do with actual consequences, because those are dealt by actions, not by words and not by virtue signals.
Okay, I'm peacing out. This is just ridiculous. This is just propaganda. You're not doing so. See you guys later. Have fun.
Please.
I'm glad. That's literally your only argument. Literally, his only argument is propaganda.
Okay, all right.
You know,
so we're gonna go to
Hitler like dogs.
We're gonna go to Ham, and then Dre. Ham,